Well, BC's premier seems to be softening in his stance against a potential West Coast pipeline following a new energy deal between Alberta and Ottawa last week. CTV National News reporter Colton Praill joining us with more on this. So, Colton, what exactly has David Eby said here?
Yeah, headline takeaway. The big news is that David Eby says he's open to a new pipeline so long as there is no carve-out and no changes to the northern tanker ban, the northern coastal tanker ban. So what does this actually mean? Well, for a BC premier who has repeatedly said, hey, there's no route, there's no pipeline, there's no money, there's no proponent, what he has effectively done is told private markets, told the big oil companies who will eventually be the proponent of this pipeline project, if it does come to bear, that there is a route for them. There is a route through the port of Vancouver, and that's something that he is open to doing. The flip side to this is that it does raise larger questions about if there is room to change his opinion. Because if the BC Premier and coastal First Nations are both effectively drawing the line at no changes at all, or no risk tolerance to any kind of tanker traffic through the Hecate Strait or through the Dixon entrance, which is just west of Port Rupert, where we're already seeing liquefied petroleum gas go out, then it does limit severely what the federal government can do without superseding those jurisdictions. Now, they absolutely have the right to do that. The federal government can go over BC, they can go over the First Nations. A cross-border pipeline is their jurisdiction, but at this point in time, we've heard Mark Carney say that's not something that he is willing to do and that those consultations have to take place. So what this really lays out very clearly is that those consultations, if it was to go through the Port of Vancouver, are something that could go significantly easier with the BC Premier than if it was going to the northwest coast of Vancouver, or of BC, I should say.
So why is David Eby so insistent on keeping a tanker ban in place?
Really, it's the coastal First Nations, and it's what has been described by the BC Premier and as these First Nations as an existential threat to their way of life. These are, we know, dangerous straits. There has recently been a diesel spill in the Hecate Strait, but the danger element is significantly increased if you are shipping crude and if you are shipping heavier forms of natural resources like LNG or like crude oil. And so the concern here is that even though it is likely to be significantly safer than when this ban was put in place in the 70s. There's new types of navigation, ships are double-hulled, generally practices are much improved over the last 50 years. The concern is that there is zero risk tolerance, and that if this was to occur, it could devastate a billion-dollar industry and way of life for coastal First Nations, and that is why he is still so vehemently opposed to this. He has signaled that he's interested in the expansion of TMX, that even a pipeline through Port of Vancouver would be okay by him, and those are both significant policy and position shifts from the Premier. But on this specific area, on the northwest coast, he is not budging at all, and he is consistently punting, saying that those conversations and those negotiations need to occur with coastal First Nations, who have also shown little movement on their part.
Okay, we'll see as this continues to unfold. Colton, thank you.
Anytime.